Good. All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our next session. We have Sports Tech, who's scoring big. To begin the session before the panel, we are going to begin with a keynote from Sorato Ijichi, the CEO and founder of Creww Inc. So please welcome me in joining Sorato.
Hello. Oh, shit. Hello, everyone. So my name is Sorato. I'm from Japan. Today, I'm going to talk about how sports team and startup ecosystem work together and can benefit from each other. Okay. So we are the largest platform, startup platform in Japan. We've been doing the Open Innovation Program with a big corporation and startups for last 12 years. We completed more than 450 accelerator programs in the last 12 years. Yep. And so we work with big corporations like we run Toyota accelerator program, Panasonic accelerator programs, and so on. So we work with all industries. And this is the program we started this year. So we work with Real Madrid program. So, we started Real Madrid program for Asia. This means we connect Real Madrid with Asian startups. And we started this from February this year, and it's been really good. So this is how it works. We never charge from sports team. Yeah, so it's very free for startup, for sports team. And we create a fund to invest whatever the sports team selected. So yeah, we charge from the fund itself. So we don't charge from sports team. That's how it works. So for the Real Madrid program, it's very important for any sports team to expand their fan base to Asia, of course, and get the new sponsors from Asia, of course. So any sports team, but Real Madrid is having one of those objectives. So they started a program with the Asian startups. So they have like 6 verticals: technology to enhance athletes' performance, cybersecurity, e-health, fan engagement, and those kind of stuff. They're looking for new technology to do that. And we started from February this year. And we got over 820 applications from all over the Asia. And we did an evaluation one by one. And we gave the top 50 startups to Real Madrid. And Real Madrid selected 7 startups they want to work with. And those are the 7 startups. And 3 of them are coming here today. So if you're interested, I can introduce you today. And today, I want to announce that we are starting the Brazil program with São Paulo FC. And this is going to start next year. But I'm hoping to have one program in Saudi so that we can enhance sports technology and both startup ecosystem growing together. So if you're interested in any of Real Madrid program, Brazil program, or Saudi program, just come speak to me. Let me know. We can work together. Okay, thank you. That's it. Thank you.
That's great. Please. So, thank you, Sorato. Sorato, maybe if you want to sit here, I think is where we're going now. So now please join me in welcoming our panelists. I want to welcome Ahod Alamari, the assistant coach of the women's national soccer teams. Bill Dosanjh, the CEO and founder of the Boxing Super League and the Super Fight League. Good to see you, sir. Sorato, who we just heard from. Heidi Kivama, the CEO and co-founder of Northern Sports Intelligence, yes, and Insight, developer of the Act Head Impact Tracker, and last but not least, Yanni Pilvas, the CEO of Miontech. Great to have all of you with us. So it was very interesting at the intersection of sport and technology here as you're getting this incubator underway and working kind of at the highest levels of sport in order to surface new technology. I want to start a little bit with how each of you arrived at your different paths, because it's a different collection of experience and entrepreneurial spirit here. So Ahod, maybe you can begin with your journey, because you began as a player, yes?
Yes. Basically, my background is scientist. I choose to start working in sport using my background because basically I believe that science and sport can improve the athletes and the individual. I was the first official national team players in Saudi Arabia, where I also participate in the Premier League as one of the first professional players in the Saudi Premier League. I played with two top clubs, Al Hilal and Al Ahli. Now I'm the assistant coach of the Saudi national, the first women national team. I went through the transformation of technology and how this helped us as a coaches as well as a player to improve and perform well. At the beginning, basically, we couldn't utilize our training session well and preventing our players because we didn't have that base of knowledge to detect what is needed for the players. So I'm really happy by using the technology, sharing the science, and collecting the measurable data, specific data like the speed, the acceleration, level of fatigue, level of stress, to help the players getting better, which is the most important thing, is to get them better and to protect them in the game.
That's great,
Yes.
because you can truly empathize with their experience because
Yes.
of what you've done yourself. Yeah,
Yes,
so,
yes.
so Bill, tell us how you began the Super League, and then from 2012 to today, a lot has changed in technology. So maybe we can get into a little bit later about also how technology has played a role in this over the last 12 years.
Absolutely. So the journey, always been very passionate about combat sports from a very young age, and fought at a national level, and that's where I kind of met a really dear friend of mine, Amir Khan, a two-time world champion, who kind of inspired basically a whole kind of nation, you know. And then we kind of went through our journey in the US, kind of learning the sport in terms of the commercial aspects of it, and then there wasn't really a commercial platform back in Asia where boxing was actually and available to the wider community. And so we set up our first kind of boxing events within India, Pakistan, and back in 2018 we were invited, it was a privilege to be here by His Royal Highness MBS to kind of be a participant in MISC Foundation. We were speakers back there, and then within 6 months we had our first ever big boxing event in the Kingdom in 2019. So the journey in the Kingdom's been like phenomenal, and the way things have progressed with all types of sporting events happening in the Kingdom, but boxing's obviously been a real focus, and that we've been having some of the biggest boxing fights in the Kingdom, and the legacy, which I feel is about a revolution, which we're going to see in the Kingdom of boxing, is going to be huge. I've already seen it with Live Golf, with other sports already, where things have merged with some of the biggest players like PGA, and now I feel the opportunity for the Kingdom is just phenomenal in the sport of boxing. And it's amazing for us to be part of that journey. And so yeah, so we're really excited to be continue that journey.
That's great. Sorato, tell us, so you told us about this initiative. Tell us a little bit the genesis, how it began, how you first connected with Real, and how this idea first came about for you.
Oh, okay. So I knew that Real Madrid has been doing the Accelerator program for last 6 years. But when I met Real Madrid last year, I asked them if there was any application from Asia, and they say no, you know. So they can access startup from Europe, or they can access startup from the US, but they have no access to the Asian startup ecosystem. That was I think they are missing like half of the potential of startup ecosystem, right, of the world. So this is, I thought, like we should just start a program just for Asian startups, you know. So that's how it started.
That's great. And Heidi, so you come from a background of working at extremely large companies and then made this transition as a founder now. And so tell us about that journey and how you arrived at what you're doing now with Northern Sports Insight and Intelligence.
Right. Indeed, my background is in the big companies, and taking that giant leap to become an entrepreneur really required for the best reason. And this is the company that we established, is Northern Sports Insight Intelligence. And we gathered around the flag, so to speak, to improve the athletes' brain health and safety, no matter the age, the level, the sport. And that was good enough reason to push me on the dark side of entrepreneurship. And I guess almost everyone who is doing a job like this also has a background from sports. So I used to be an elite sports woman in ice hockey and floorball in Finland, and also avid doing and believing of a healthy and physically active lifestyle. So my big goal now is really to be able to help the sports to become healthier and safer, also when it comes to the brain, which is our operating system and the most complex organ in our bodies, so that it will improve the health and well-being of the athletes short, medium, and long term. That's what really is what I'm here also to talk about and aiming to do with our company.
Yes, and so tell us a little bit about the Head Impact Tracker and what it does, what you're looking to get from athletes, and then the application use. Is it just professional athletes? Is this for data that will help in terms of parents with their kids playing sports?
Yes, absolutely.
So,
Great question.
Okay.
Thank you. No, we want to help everyone, like any age, any level, any gender, any sport. And that's how we started. Like, our neurologist told us that these are the things that we need to follow. So these are the ones which are like having a relevance. And that is really how your head is moving. Because when our head is moving, brain inside the skull is moving, twisting, crashing against the skull. And that is what's causing the damage, traumatic brain injuries, or the cumulative effect, which might cause like degenerative brain diseases or degenerative neuro disorders. And that's what we have to measure, is how your head is moving. You're not going to fix the problem by wearing a helmet. The helmet is not stopping your head from moving. If helmets could sort this, American football would be the safest sport in the world. Their helmets are huge. But no, that's not the case. The same with the mouth guards. That's why we have to understand how the head is moving, so that we can also then understand how much the brain is getting, like a magnitude, the forces acting on it, and also the load. And those are the two things that we have to manage. And not only in sports, but there's applications outside the sports as well when it comes to elderly care, occupational health, military, like psych wards. There is like so many, because it's exactly the same. There's like, how everything is happening, no matter where it happens. We have to understand better, and we have to get the data so that we can take the preventive actions.
Yeah. It's shocking still how there's a misconception about helmets, headgears, other things like
Absolutely.
this that can actually gives no support whatsoever. To some degree.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
and then you've been waiting very patiently here. So we've talked about some of the detriments of how sport can affect people, but in terms of wearables and how they can positively affect us is an area you've been working in for a long time. So if you can tell us maybe about how you first got in to this idea with Miontech, and then where you are, and from when you began the company over 10 years ago to today, kind of what you've seen in the space.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, first of all, with all the experts. So when I joined Miontech, that was already existed. The company was kind of starting the early phase. My background is again in a sport, and also in international software business. So I wanted to combine. I wanted to find that kind of exciting technology or innovation or startup to join, where I can really improve the health, not only in a sport but also in a kind of rehabilitation or wider. So the technology what we are doing and the solution what we are doing is we are measuring muscles. So there's a signal what we can capture from the surface muscle. It's electromyography, so EMG. When the heart rate is taken from the chest, we are placing the sensors on the muscles. So it has to touch the muscles. So the solution is smart clothes. So we embed the sensors in the clothes, and then we can see how you are using your muscles. I give you, metaphor from a car. When the heart rate is a kind of fuel pump for the car, the muscles are the engine and the gear, so generating the movement. So if we want to improve the speed, we need to improve, of course, both the pump and then also the engine. But without each other, it's very difficult. So what is kind of missing many years is that the EMG is not being able to measure out of the lab. So in a lab, it has been for decades. So there's a lot of scientific studies, even in neuromuscular diseases and so on. But it's difficult because it's a very weak signal. It's difficult to capture accurate data in the field. And that's what is our innovation. So we can do it with the sensor and embedded clothes, so you don't need to carry additional wearables, so to say. So how the face has been changed, what we have seen now the last couple of years especially, is that the coaches, also the medical teams, they are asking more and more accurate data. So giving for example, from the knee operations, if we have a knee injuries, almost 60% of the knee injured patients are having quadriceps failure features, meaning that if I start to extend my knee, my muscles are compensating. So I have, for example, vastus medialis is switching off. And these things are impossible to see by bare eyes. So we need to get the signal from the body and then analyze. So the big things what I currently see is, of course, AI, combining all the data what can be gathered, but also then accuracy and the benefits what the data analysis can give to the user and coaches.
That's great. So, Sorato, maybe you can tell us a little bit within the Accelerator program, have any use cases emerged that you're excited about, ones that you're seeing down the line, ones that you're looking forward to trying to find?
Okay, for the Real Madrid program, it's still in progress. They just picked the 7 startup cohorts, so now they are starting POCs and everything from now. So it's not yet we know the results, But for other programs we did for last 12 years, we got many results. But one of them is, it's hard to explain. Okay, but okay. Today's theme is sports, right? So, okay. I'm not going to explain that.
Okay.
I have many results, but it's nothing to do with sports, so I'm going to pass it.
We'll take a step back from
Yeah.
the technology side for a second. I want to turn back to you in terms of the levels of trust with athletes themselves, because as a coach, you're both trying to get performance out of the team for the purposes of what the teams are trying to do in winning, and then also for the fans and for the work that's involved in that as almost a management layer that you sit in between with the players themselves. And so how much in terms of what you're talking with the players about with respect to here's what is good for you is a source of trust that you have built with the players themselves, and what you find to be useful there and how you go about managing that balance.
Yes, basically as a coach, before when you start talking with the coaches, their ideas sometimes before technology, using technology and these kind of analytical cameras and analytical software, it was a subjective idea. You cannot convince the player that you don't have that much data or that much analytical data from matches or tactical data that you collect to convince the player. So nowadays, by using the technology, utilizing the technology, if you want to be success coach and you want to compete in a high level, you need to get the trust, first of all, from the players. So if you want to convince the players, you should show them how your game plan or your game match like going on correctly in comparing to the other team. So we are using the analytical data nowadays, and some of the analytical clips that we are collecting by using Opta, Sport Coach, Y Sport, and these things to make the game more understandable for the players and convince them regarding how we can use this data and make us as a team improve. On the other hand, with this kind of data, we can protect the players itself mentally and physically. Because as you know, football is decision making. So you will use your brain more than you use your brain to control yourself physically. So if we can protect our players mentally, we can perform well. So by give them the confidence of the game, make them more understandable by using this kind of technology, they will perform better and they will compete.
Bill, boxing, obviously a sport that is not known always for its levels of advancement in technology, but as a new entrant into the field, are there things that you've seen incorporated, training, methods? I know your partner is a professional fighter for a long time, a mutual acquaintance of ours. So what have you seen about the sport that was evolving that when you got into this business that you said, okay, this is also not only good for the fighters themselves, where in combat sports in particular, the use of any type of performance enhancement not only is has legality issues, but also is incredibly dangerous because it's not just something like playing a tennis match. It's consciousness that's at stake. It's a different type of thing. So how do you see the landscape evolving with the athletes themselves?
So I think two parts to that. I think one important part, which we're seeing, I mean, what this FII, the 8th edition, has been about, a lot about AI, ASI, a lot of kind of like advanced technology. And I think, especially with boxing, which is really important, we get the judging wrong. You know, there's been so many decisions, like with an athlete, he trained so hard, and then we're getting these decisions wrong. So I think one good part of a learning, which we've seen over the last couple of years, this AI can really change the way the judging is done in boxing. So I feel that if the judges physically are taken out and AI, because when you see a ring, judges are sitting in different parts of the ring and they're not always capturing everything real time, you know. So the fact that the technology is available to us today, I think in time to come, I can see a big change in that aspect of it. I really feel that with the new AI technology, we can really kind of get that implemented implemented into boxing. Yes, it's going to take time, but I feel with everything which is happening within the kingdom, we can see that potentially implemented. So I think overall, with the sport of boxing, like we can see the science which kind of is going behind it. We're seeing a big event which is happening on Netflix in next month. Mike Tyson, at the age of 58, is participating in one of the world's free-to-air matches. So I think that it's already, we're seeing the first signs of kind of science being implemented into these athletes, and I feel that it's only going to get better. And we saw Elon Musk the other day say there's going to be 10 billion robots by 2040, you know. So, I mean, eventually, are we going to see 2 robots kind of participate? You know, so it's just like it's amazing to see how things are really advancing in tech, and some of that, of course, we're going to be implementing into the sports today.
So we'll see robots in the ring, and we'll see robots judging what is happening in the ring.
I mean, the technology, of course. I mean, when the data is kind of available to them, that how these athletes are performing on the training side, and of course the judging part, I think we're missing a lot of critical things in the sport today. And I think, football now in soccer, they're catching everything with VAR. They're seeing everything real time, so there's no kind of like bad decisions, you know. So I feel that boxing is going to catch up very, very soon, and the fact that the kingdom is taking a big leap and investment into it. And even now, we just saw last month, for the first time ever in 25 years, undisputed light heavyweight championship bout, and we saw that some people were very controversial about the decision, but again, it's getting them decisions right as time goes on. So no, it's a really exciting time, and what we've seen here during FII with the latest kind of technology, it's really amazing.
Thank you. Yanni, I want to come back to you. So you came into this from a business standpoint. So in terms of how wearables will be able to be used, and for not just athletes, but for everyday people who want to enhance their own performance. And I assume there's been a large progression that's happened over the last decade in terms of how fashionable these things can be. But talk to us about the economic opportunity that you see. Talk about what you're seeing in the landscape there, what you see for Miontech as well.
So of course there's a lot of wearables around in the market. So I would say that now it's more question what is kind of reliable, and what is giving the benefits to the user, whether it's an athlete, coach, healthcare professional, or just consumer. So that is, I think, the main thing, is to find the right thing for you. And that's why I was sending that the data accuracy is one thing, but then the key benefits to the user, whoever the user is crucial. If we cannot solve that as a wearable company, we cannot find the business. So that's kind of the major thing. Of course, in different users, they have a bit different ideas or different needs. And maybe they don't just want to measure one thing. Maybe the heart rate is not telling when I get injured, or maybe the muscles are not saying, do I need to hydrate? So we need not only one signal or one data, we need comprehensive picture. So that is where the current business scaling is. There's a lot of potential, but kind of identifying the need for the specific user is a key.
That's great. And Heidi, so with the head impact tracker, when you think about the use case application beyond, as you were talking about just a little earlier, is there a first step beyond sports where you're looking to help provide that service?
Anybody who's in need. Like, basically, I think that we've heard a performance word here like many, many, many times. And that's what sports is very good at doing. And we have been doing it so successfully that the athletes are far stronger, faster, more aggressive. The game is developing. We started earlier You know, like 5-year-old kids are already playing 5 times a week at the games, you know, the seasons are long and so on. But the human evolution, like our bodies are not keeping up. Like you can't train your brain to become more impact resistant, and when everything else around the brain is happening so much faster and more aggressive. You know, these are the kind of things that, you know, like I would love to see next as a big in sport tech is really the, you know, marching in the health and wellness for the athletes. Before, if your athletes are not healthy, they will not perform, let alone top perform. Like, where do we, like, I don't know, you know, like this is, to me, it sounds like no-brainer that that's what we need to do. We need to ensure that our players are, you know, healthy and happy, and then they can top perform. So, no, I wasn't really answering to your question, but I just kind of wanted to end up with that saying, that's the next thing. It has to be. Because the athletes at all ages and all levels, you know, they deserve that. We need to be better at taking good care of them, enabling them to go to school, study, you know, realize your full potential, whether it's on the pitches or rings or outside that academic world, you know, becoming the best plumber in the world. Our brain, that's how important it is. It can take away that opportunity from you. And we don't want sports to be something that might ruin that for you. Instead, let's enjoy all the positives that you get from sports, and let's do something about those negatives.
So there's an extreme need between the understanding of how the physical state of the athlete is then going to be mirrored by the emotional state of the human being. And so in your experience both as a player and a coach now, do you have a different perspective now as a coach? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was a player, I couldn't recognize how much coach needs to be careful with the intensity, the load, the designing these things of session to protect me as a player. So when I became a coach, I figured out that behind protecting the player mentally and physically, you have a lot to do. You have many things you should be done. It should be done during this kind of journey. So you need to make sure that the player improving individually, physically and mentally by using, like I get back to the point of the accuracy of the data that you are using. So it's not something you need to work with the players randomly, because at the end of the story, what we said, we will not be able to protect the players, which is the most important things in all of these sports. So yes, I changed my perspective when I became coach.
I think that's a great point to conclude our session. There was an incredible range of insights from business, technology, science. And I want to thank all of you for being here, and appreciate all of your insights. Please thank our panel.
Thank you.